Welcome back to the OS podcast. So, today we got a pretty cool episode. If you're someone serious about transforming your physique, boosting your day to day energy, improving your cognitive function, focus, you're going to like it. So, today we're diving into something I've been taking for 3 months now, 4 times per week on training days, and I've seen really robust benefits from. And that is methylene blue, which is a compound that's kind of blowing up in like the biohacking or longevity space, even honestly the physique development world, and for pretty good reason. It's been talked about for cognitive function, mitochondrial health, fat loss potential, and antioxidant benefits. So by the end of today's episode, you'll understand exactly how methylene blue works, its benefits, its potential risks, and my personal experience using it. So what is methylene blue? Well, this blue dye was originally developed in the 1800s and it became the first synthetic drug ever used in human medicine. It started out as a treatment for malaria. Now, fast forward to today, they found out it has plenty of interesting benefits for general health as well as performance. It crosses the blood brain barrier, it enhances mitochondrial function, increases ATP production, acts as a selective MAO inhibitor, so it even boosts your mood. It's being studied for neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's even. It increases oxygen delivery to cells. It acts as a very potent antioxidant, which in turn reduces chronic inflammation. So it affects multiple pathways in the body, and when used correctly, it can be a strategic tool for improving how your body performs, how your brain functions, and potentially how fast you recover. So first, let's break down methylene blue at the cellular level. Just some pretty basic stuff. For mitochondrial function, it acts as an alternative electron carrier in the electron transport chain. What that means is it essentially helps your cells make energy more efficiently by bypassing some of the bottlenecks that can generate oxidative stress and delivers electrons directly to cytochrome C, helping increase ATP production without flooding your body with excessive reactive oxygen species, otherwise known as ROS. That means better endurance, better strength output, and faster recovery downstream. It also stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis through a master regulator of mitochondrial growth and efficiency. So you can think of it like almost increasing the horsepower on your cellular engine. And methylene blue is a mild MAO and MAOB inhibitor. So it prevents the breakdown of serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, our key neurotransmitters for mood, motivation, as well as focus. Now, in small doses, this can be great, but this is where, like anything, the dose is the poison. Drink too much water, not good. Just take too much methylene blue, not too good as well. So if you go too high or you stack it with other supplements or compounds that increase serotonin or act on similar pathways, you could definitely induce serotonin syndrome. So it's very important not to combine it with SSRIs or 5-HTP or L-tryptophan or St. John's wort. You don't want to start taking this with a bunch of other supplements that act on similar pathways without understanding how they interact with each other. And lastly, methylene blue enhances oxygen delivery by converting ferric iron back to ferrous iron and hemoglobin. That means more oxygen getting to your muscles, more oxygen to your brain tissue, and even other tissues that demand performance. Add to that its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties, and you've got something that can improve the way you feel, think, perform, and recover, and then downstream from all that, how you look as well. So if you're someone chasing performance, whether that's just in the gym, whether that's endurance wise, whether you just want faster recovery or just better output overall, this is where methylene blue gets interesting because at the right doses, it enhances mitochondrial respiration, which essentially means your cells become more efficient at producing energy, or ATP, the energy currency of our cells. So you'll feel that as more potential stamina during workouts or runs or endurance work, quicker recovery between sets, and potentially the ability to push through higher training volumes without burning out like you normally would. Now, on the recovery side, methylene blue does two things that improve our recovery. One, like I said, it lowers oxidative stress, and two, it improves oxygen delivery. Now, why is lowering oxidative stress and improving oxygen delivery a huge benefit for performance and recovery? When it comes to oxidative stress, when we train, especially when we train hard or do a lot of volume, you naturally increase the production of reactive oxygen species or ROS, and these are essentially free radicals produced as a byproduct of your body making energy in the mitochondria. Now, a small amount of ROS, or reactive oxygen species, is normal and even necessary. They act as signaling molecules that help the adaptation part, where same thing with inflammation, it's part of the adaptation process, where after like muscle growth. But when ROS production exceeds your body's ability to neutralize it with antioxidants, if you're not getting enough antioxidants in, you get oxidative stress. And when that happens, it starts damaging cellular components, lipid proteins, even your DNA. This then impairs your recovery, contributes to inflammation, and over time can blunt performance adaptations, specifically the ones we're after. Now, where methylene blue comes in is that it acts as an electron cycler, essentially improving the efficiency of the electron transport chain, kind of what we just spoke about, inside your mitochondria. So that means you're generating more ATP, but without ramping up ROS, reactive oxygen species, to potentially damaging levels. So it keeps that balance in check, which is huge because now you're pushing performance without overstressing the recovery system by adding more oxidative stress. Now, the second part of the equation is oxygen delivery. Methylene blue helps convert ferric iron, which can't bind to oxygen, back into ferrous iron, which can. Now, this is important because iron in your red blood cells needs to be in that ferrous iron state to transport oxygen effectively. So more bioavailable iron means better hemoglobin function. That means more oxygen to your muscles during training, which can be hugely beneficial, more oxygen to your brain, and basically every other tissue that needs it. So why does that matter for recovery? Well, oxygen is usually the rate limiting factor for most repair processes. Tissues need oxygen to regenerate, clear out waste, and rebuild stronger. Better oxygenation equals then faster recovery, less soreness, more readiness for the next training session. So when we say methylene blue lowers oxidative stress and improves oxygen delivery, it doesn't just make you feel better. It quite literally optimizes the two biggest physiological bottlenecks between you and better performance: mitochondrial efficiency and tissue recovery. Also, one of the things I've noticed from taking methylene blue is the cognitive benefits, especially. I love my nootropics. I'm always experimenting with different peptides and stacks. And I have to say, methylene blue is one of the most effective nootropics I've ever used. And I've used C-Max, Lank, I've used Noopept, and it works by increasing cerebral energy metabolism. It improves memory retention and boosts working memory through mitochondrial support and neurotransmitter regulation. So, okay, that's a bunch of sciencey stuff. So what does that actually mean? When I say methylene blue increases cerebral energy metabolism, I'm essentially talking about how it helps your brain cells make energy more efficiently. As you can probably imagine, your brain is one of the most energy demanding organs in your body. It's constantly firing signals, it's constantly processing information, storing memories, helping you focus, and just doing a bunch of shit at all times. Just like your muscles during a workout, it runs better when its energy systems are dialed in. And methylene blue steps in by supporting the mitochondria in your brain cells, the little powerhouses that produce ATP, so your cellular energy currency. So with better mitochondrial output, you get more mental stamina, quicker thinking, improved focus, improved memory retention, and it also helps regulate key neurotransmitters, like I mentioned earlier, because it's an MAO inhibitor. So things like dopamine and serotonin, which are, you need those for your mood, your motivation, your memory. So instead of feeling foggy or fried, you're way more dialed in, you retain information better, and you can stay sharp under stress. So you have a little more stress as well, resilience as well. And in both animal studies and human fMRI trials, it's been shown to improve memory recall, visual motor coordination, and overall cognitive function, which is pretty damn cool in my opinion. So we've now ran through how methylene blue works, its performance benefits, its nootropic and cognitive enhancement effects. Now let's get into something I know a lot of you care about. How will it help me transform my physique and improve my body composition? Whether you're in a fat loss phase or you're looking to build muscle, you're in a growth phase, or you're just trying to stay lean year round, methylene blue can be a tool to support that process. First, by improving mitochondrial efficiency and ATP production, it directly impacts your training output. More efficient energy production means more reps, more total work done, and less fatigue alongside. Second, because it enhances oxygen utilization, that translates into more oxygen delivered to your working muscles, which means better endurance during your sets or workout as a whole, potentially better pumps, even though there's some contradiction there with nitric oxide production, and faster recovery between sets. And third, and this is key for body composition. It helps increase mitochondrial biogenesis and metabolic flexibility. So it helps your body become more efficient at using fuel, whether that fuel is from carbs or fats. And when you pair that with compounds like L-carnitine, MOTS-C potentially peptides, SLU-PP332, which is another cool one for the mitochondria, you're kind of creating an environment that is very, very favorable for fat loss and performance, which is something I did in my previous diet phase. And I can honestly say this has been one of the most, or was one of the most productive cutting phases I've had in a while. So I take 10 milligrams about 4 times per week on my training days in the morning. And what I've noticed is a pretty clear boost in both mental clarity along with performance wise, more endurance during my workouts, my recovery between sessions. It's been a little faster. Energy stayed pretty high even throughout my caloric deficit, and just as important, my mood and focus didn't slip at all. Even though it's common, they sometimes can during a long cut, especially when I was cutting for quite a while. So that was for me was one of the biggest benefits I noticed from it. So overall, methylene blue is a pretty high leverage tool when used correctly in the right context. Of course, it improves mitochondrial function, it'll improve your mood, it'll improve your cognition, and it even supports performance and potentially downstream muscle growth and fat loss to some degree. So that is a wrap on today's episode. Hope you enjoyed. All my links are below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.